Why do good guys always seem to finish last? This might be the question running through your mind right now. You care deeply, you're attentive, and you do everything you can to make her happy. Yet one day, she packs her bags, either physically or emotionally, and leaves you standing there wondering where it all went wrong. It feels unfair, doesn't it? You poured your heart into her, thinking that love and kindness would be enough to keep her by your side. But here's the cold, hard truth. Being a good guy isn't the problem. It's being the right kind of partner that truly matters. Before you get defensive, let's be clear. Women want a man who cares about them. But too often, the caring turns into something else. Overcompensating, losing your own identity, or misreading what she actually needs. These aren't things we're taught growing up, and unfortunately, they're the invisible deal breakers that push even the most loyal woman away. What makes this topic so controversial is that society loves to paint a black and white picture. If you care about her, she should stay, right? Wrong. Human connections don't work that way. Women leave men who care about them not because they don't want love, but because love alone isn't enough. They crave depth, balance, and most importantly, a man who brings out the best version of himself, not someone who fades into the background of her world. This introduction isn't about blaming men or glorifying women who leave. Instead, it's about lifting the fog of confusion and showing you exactly why this happens, and how to make sure it doesn't happen to you. In the sections ahead, we're diving into the hard truths most men don't want to hear, but need to understand. By the end of this journey, you'll know exactly why women leave and how to show up as the man they stay for. Are you ready for the truth? Let's start. 1. When caring feels like clinginess. Let's set the record straight. Caring is never the problem. Every woman wants to feel loved, appreciated, and prioritized. However, there's a fine line between caring for someone and caring so much that it starts to feel like you're holding on too tightly. Men often confuse the two, and this is where things start to unravel. Here's the issue. When your actions come across as clingy, it doesn't feel like love. It feels like dependency. Women are instinctively drawn to strength, both emotional and mental. Constantly texting to check in, seeking reassurance about the relationship, or prioritizing her needs above everything else in your life can signal insecurity rather than affection. It tells her you've made her the center of your world, instead of being confident in the world you've already built for yourself. Now, don't get it twisted. Showing you care isn't a bad thing. It's how you care that matters. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and independence, not on one partner losing themselves in the other. When women start to feel like they're suffocating under your love, they pull away, not because they don't value your care, but because they no longer feel inspired or free. What makes this topic so controversial is that men often hear conflicting advice. One group says, be attentive, cherish her, put her first. Another says, don't be a simp, bro. But the truth lies in balance. Yes, care for her. Yes, prioritize her. But don't let that care turn into control or an overwhelming need to constantly validate your place in her life. Instead of trying to be everything for her, focus on being something irreplaceable. Let her know you care deeply, but also show her that you have your own passions, dreams, and values that are non-negotiable. This isn't about playing games or hard to get. It's about standing tall in your own individuality and letting her choose to be a part of your journey. If she's leaving despite your care, take a step back and ask yourself, are you showing her love or drowning her in it? The distinction can mean the difference between building connection or driving her away. 2. The absence of challenge and mystery. Let's get real for a second. People are wired to crave what keeps them intrigued, and relationships are no exception. Yet so many men fall into the trap of making themselves too available, too predictable, and honestly, too easy. Sounds harsh? It should, because this is one of the most overlooked dynamics that pushes women away. Women are not walking around begging for drama or uncertainty, but they are drawn to excitement and emotional engagement. When a man strips all the challenge and mystery out of a relationship, he inadvertently takes away one of the key factors that keep her invested: curiosity. This doesn't mean playing games or being intentionally aloof, but ask yourself, have you become the guy who says yes to everything she wants? Do you go out of your way to be so dependable that she can predict your every move? If so, it's time to rethink your approach. Relationships thrive on reciprocity, not on servitude. The absence of challenge makes things comfortable, sure, but too much comfort can lead to complacency. Without the tension of mutual effort, she might start to feel like the spark is gone. And here's a hard truth. When there's no spark, the emotional connection weakens. Mystery plays a role too. No, it doesn't mean hiding parts of yourself or being secretive. It's about showing depth, giving her reasons to continually discover new layers of who you are. If everything about you is laid out on day one, there's no adventure left in getting to know you. Here's the part men struggle with. Being engaging doesn't require flashy antics or over-the-top drama. Sometimes it's as simple as keeping up your passions, pursuing your own goals, and having strong boundaries. Be a man who inspires curiosity, who invites her into a life she wants to learn more about, not one she feels like she's already figured out. If she's leaving despite your care, it might be because she doesn't feel emotionally stimulated. A predictable partner is comforting for a while, but without excitement or effort, that comfort can feel like a cage. The lesson? Be reliable, but never boring. Let her wonder, just a little, what makes you so endlessly interesting? 3. The overlooked power of emotional leadership. Relationships aren't just about attraction, love, or even compatibility. They require emotional leadership, something many men unintentionally neglect. Emotional leadership doesn't mean controlling or dominating a relationship. It's about setting the tone for emotional stability, trust, and understanding. Let's talk about why this matters. Women often leave men who care about them when they don't feel emotionally safe. Caring isn't just about acts of love or grand gestures. It's about creating an environment where she can truly be herself, without judgment or fear of emotional inconsistency. If she constantly has to manage the emotional dynamic of the relationship, she's not going to feel secure, no matter how much you love her. Here's the hard truth. Men who avoid difficult conversations, brush off emotional conflicts, or fail to address deeper issues aren't providing the kind of foundation women crave. Emotional leadership means having the courage to face discomfort, communicate openly, and provide reassurance, not just through words, but through action and presence. The thing is, emotional leadership doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent and intentional. It's about creating a relationship where problems aren't swept under the rug, where there's room to grow together, and where she can trust your ability to navigate life's storms as a team. When women feel like they have to carry the emotional weight of the relationship on their own, it's exhausting, and no amount of care or affection will compensate for the absence of leadership in this area. Women want to feel that their partner isn't just present, but actively contributing to the emotional health of the relationship. Men who step up emotionally are rare. It takes awareness, effort, and a willingness to own your role in the relationship's dynamic. But the reward is profound, a deep, lasting connection that makes her feel supported and valued. Without this leadership, even the most caring man can lose her, because emotional neglect, whether intentional or not, leaves her feeling unfulfilled and unseen. Relationships thrive when both partners feel equally invested, but someone has to set the example. Emotional leadership is your opportunity to lead with strength, empathy, and confidence, and that's what makes the difference between her staying or leaving. 4. Neglecting their own personal growth. Let's have an honest conversation. Far too many men lose themselves in relationships. You meet someone you care about deeply, and suddenly your priorities shift. While it's natural to want to give your best to someone you love, sacrificing your own growth isn't just unhealthy, it's a mistake that can quietly push her away. Here's the uncomfortable truth. No woman wants to feel like she's your entire world. Yes, she wants to feel loved and valued, but not at the expense of seeing you stagnate. When you stop chasing your dreams, neglect your hobbies, or lose the fire you once had for your personal ambitions, it creates an imbalance. She fell for you because you were dynamic, passionate, and striving for something. And if you let that part of you fade, she might eventually lose sight of the man she was drawn to in the first place. Now, this might sound harsh, but it's important. Too many men confuse love with sacrifice. You think you're being a good partner by giving her everything and putting yourself on the back burner. But what you're really doing is making yourself smaller. A healthy relationship doesn't ask you to dim your light. It thrives when both people shine together. The criticism here is simple but necessary. Stop settling for a version of yourself that's good enough. If you're coasting in life, if you're not investing in your growth or working toward your own goals, how can you inspire someone else to stay excited about the future you're building? Wake up. The solution isn't about ignoring her or becoming self-centered. It's about balance. Take time to develop yourself, pursue what makes you passionate, and grow into the best version of yourself, not just for her, but for you. This isn't a selfish act, it's a necessary one. When you prioritize your growth, you're sending a clear message. I care about you, but I also care about becoming the man I was meant to be. That's the kind of energy women are drawn to, and the kind that makes them want to stick around. Let her be your partner, not your purpose, and watch how that dynamic changes everything. 5. Mistaking love for compatibility. This one might sting a little, but it needs to be said, love and compatibility are not the same thing. Far too often, men fall into the trap of thinking that love, pure, unrelenting love, can overcome any challenge. While love is undoubtedly important, it's not enough to build a thriving, long-lasting relationship on its own. Here's the thing. Women don't leave caring men because they're heartless or because they don't value love. They leave when they realize that as much as you care about each other, your connection isn't a good fit for the life they want to live. That's not easy to accept. It feels like rejection, like a failure. But in reality, it's not. It's simply the reality of human relationships. Being compatible means you align on the important things: values, goals, lifestyle, communication, and emotional dynamics. Without these foundational elements, no amount of love will make a relationship sustainable. If she leaves, it might be because she sees gaps in compatibility that you've been unwilling or unable to confront. So here's the wake-up call. Stop thinking that trying harder will fix every issue. Love is not about endless sacrifices and forcing yourself to mold into someone you're not just to keep her around. Compatibility requires mutual understanding and shared vision. It demands honesty about who you are and what you want. Criticism time. Sometimes men ignore these deeper differences because they're focused on keeping the relationship alive at any cost. But that's short-term thinking. If you're incompatible on big things like core values or future plans, avoiding those conversations only delays the inevitable. Instead, focus on building a relationship where love and compatibility work hand in hand. Be willing to step back and ask the tough questions. Are we truly aligned? Can we both grow in this relationship without sacrificing our individual dreams? It's not easy, but it's necessary. If a woman leaves despite your love, it doesn't mean you failed as a partner. It means that love wasn't enough to bridge the gap, and that's okay. True strength lies in acknowledging that and striving to create a partnership built on both deep affection and authentic compatibility. Here's the controversial truth. Sometimes caring isn't enough, and love isn't always the solution, it's the foundation. But without growth, leadership, challenge, and compatibility, even the strongest feelings can crumble under the weight of unmet needs and misaligned futures. Now it's your turn. What's been your experience? Have you faced this in your life, or are you trying to make sense of it now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll personally connect with as many of you as I can. This is about more than answers. It's about building understanding together. Let's keep the conversation alive.